Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and good day, everyone. I am Siti Aina Pandapatan, and today I'll be presenting a research article by Ho 2009 titled The Language Anger in Chinese and English Narratives. The study is based on the idea that emotional expression is influenced by both linguistic structures and cultural norms. In Chinese culture, Confucian values emphasize emotional restraint and maintaining social harmony. In contrast, English-speaking cultures, particularly the Western societies, tend to encourage more direct and explicit emotional expressions. So Ho 2009, in this article, she explores how these cultural influences shape the way anger is described in narratives. Study. So Ho identifies a significant research gap in the field of second language education, specifically the underdevelopment of emotional expressions in the instruction or the way the students express themselves. So this means that there is a lack of emphasis on teaching second language learners on how to effectively express emotions such as anger in their non-native language. And most, obviously then, napapansin natin, most language education programs focus primarily on grammatical accuracy, vocabulary acquisition, and functional communication skills. But they often neglect the emotional and expressive aspects of language use. So she suggests that this oversight may hinder bilingual individuals from fully expressing emotions in their second language, thereby impacting their communicative effectiveness and emotional well-being. So to address this gap, Ho recommends incorporating measures into language education programs that specifically aim to develop learners' competence in emotional expression. So Ho's study aimed to analyze the language of anger used by the bilinguals in Hong Kong or the Chinese community there, and to examine how the functions of the first language and second language and users' proficiency may affect emotional expressions. No? Okay. As to the theoretical framework in the study of Ho, it includes the concept of bilingualism. Ho explores how the functions of a first and second language influence emotional expression. And this involves analyzing narrative length, lexical and syntactic richness, and the use of metaphorical expressions in both languages, which will be later on be discussed after the few slides. No? So the study also considers the participants' perceptions of their bilinguality and emotionality, which suggests that language competence significantly affects how emotionally expressive bilinguals can be. Okay. As to the methodology, the participants were the 33 students, 27 of which 27 were female, 6 were male, and these students are coming from were from the universities in Hong Kong. Um, their ages were 20 to 26 years old, and they are Cantonese speaking Chinese who had studied English for over 16 years. No? Okay, so the participants were divided into two groups. Each was asked to write two stories. No? They were asked to write two stories about actual emotion experience, each from a different perspective. No? So these written stories are the self-angry story, in which involves the experience in which you were made angry. The other one is the other angry story, which involves an experience in which you made someone angry. No? Okay, so the writing of self-angry and other angry stories was designed to elicit different perspectives on the cause of anger. So their life stories were taken as part of the narrative corpora. Okay, so the students were also asked to complete information sheet in which they provided details such as age and gender and free responses to the questions adopted from the study of Pavlenko 2006. And this study also, it employed linguistic and content analysis of the life stories and information sheets, which were conducted with the aid of NVivo 7. This NVivo 7 is a software program for analyzing qualitative data. So basically, this the corpora and the interview, no, the corpora and the answers from the written responses of the students were analyzed through linguistic and content analysis. Okay, so as to the findings in terms of narrative length, which is measured through the number of words. So this number of words refers to the count of English letters separated by spaces and the count of Chinese characters. So findings reveal that Chinese narratives have 15,420 words with 18 Inger lemmas. No? Lemma is the base form or the dictionary form of a word. No? On the other hand, English narratives have 9,886 words with 3 Inger lemma. So, therefore, Chinese narratives are longer than the English ones. So, this may reflect the bilingual's weaker ability to write extensively, to develop the story, and to elaborate emotional experience in the L2. And this is according to Ho 2009. Okay, so as to, in terms of the lexical richness, when we say lexical richness, it refers to the diversity and the sophistication of vocabulary used in the text, no? And which is examined through type token ratio of words. So it revealed that English has 62 word tokens with 7 Inger words. So these words were repeated, no? But basically, there are 7 Inger words recorded by Ho, which are angry, furious, angered, enraged, anger, rage, furiously. And then there are 3 Inger lemmas to be considered here, which are the rage, anger, and fury. On the other hand, we have also here the Chinese. No? Chinese has 83 word tokens with 18 Inger lemmas, which includes the most frequently used morphemes, or what they call the master morphemes, which are the fi, no, and ki. Okay, so basically, and as we can notice also, the lexical richness of the Inger lexicon was evidently high in Chinese corpus. So the combination of different morphemes, and in particular of the master morphemes of fi, nu, and ki, may contribute to the overall richness. So that is why Chinese has higher lexical richness in terms of the Inger lexicon. No? So let's proceed. Okay, so in terms of syntactic richness, it is identified by analyzing the morphosyntactic distribution of Inger words. Findings reveal that English Inger words are categorized as adjective, noun, adverbs, and yeah, adjective, nouns, and adverbs. While the Chinese anger words were categorized as adjectival verb, verb, adjective, noun, and adverb. So for both, no, adjectives make up the largest proportion of anger word tokens. So Chinese anger words have a variety of syntactic structures used. Next one, as to the metaphorical language, um, findings revealed that anger is primarily perceived as a manifestation of bodily changes and movements. For example, the sentence, she was showing a long face, that long face, no, um, um, manifests anger. Another one is Kathy was irritated, so she was blind to me in school. And apart from external body parts, student writers or the participants conceptualize anger in terms of internal parts of the body. So, for example, in English translation from Chinese, he discharged his anger on me. No? So, that's it. So meaning, students used more Chinese metaphorical expressions than English ones to convey anger. So Ho argued that the ability to use effective metaphorical expressions reflects linguistic competence, no, as well as cultural competence. Okay, so as to the bilinguality and emotionality, findings revealed that this are no take note that the result of this are coming from the information sheet in which they were asked set of questions to be answered through written. No? Okay, so findings revealed that the extent and the nature of bilinguality have a direct influence on the writer's emotional expression. And most students think that their mother tongue is better. Their mother tongue is a better language for expressing intimate feelings, and it enables them to express their emotions more directly, easily, freely, and vividly. Moreover, the best linguistic resource which students have in expressing anger is the Chinese vocabulary. Also, um, students also feel that culture-specific uses of the first language, such as Chinese idioms, are powerful tools with which they may express their emotions effectively. Most students do not prefer to write in English because they are concerned about inadequacies in expressing themselves emotionally in a different language. And lastly, for the bilinguals in Hong Kong, Chinese is used to indicate solidarity and intimacy, whereas English is associated with formality, detachment, and objectivity. So, um, the study of Hall concludes that there is a greater richness of emotion, vocabulary, syntactic structures, and metaphorical expressions in Chinese than in English. And both the linguistic data and the written comments suggest that to a very large extent, language competence affects how emotionally expressive bilinguals can be. Okay, so that's the study of Ho 2009. Okay, so as to the critic, no. So while the study provides valuable insights, there are some limitations to consider. no? First, the sample size and selection criteria for narratives were not that extensively detailed. So, if you're going to read the study of Ho, talagang hindi siya masyadong detailed, which really affect or which may affect the generalizability of the findings. Additionally, the study focuses primarily on written narratives. So, this may not fully represent, no, the spontaneous verbal expressions of anger in real life situations. So future research could incorporate spoken discourse analysis, no, or real-time conversational data to gain a more comprehensive understanding on the language of anger. Another critic is that the assumption that all English-speaking cultures express anger similarly. So while Western cultures often value directness, there are variations in how different English-speaking communities express and interpret anger, influenced by factors such as social class, regional differences, and individual personality traits. So those are some of the missed, no, parts of the study. So a broader comparative study including multiple dialects and cultural subgroups within both languages could strengthen the conclusions. And given also the increasing number of bilingual individuals, it would be interesting to examine how their anger expression changes, no, depending on the language being used. So, um, that's my critique. So in conclusion, Ho 2009 really provides, no, valuable insights into the linguistic and cultural dimensions of anger expression in Chinese and English narratives. The study demonstrates that language plays a crucial role in shaping how emotions are perceived and conveyed. No? So while English speakers tend to express anger more explicitly, Chinese speakers often do so in a more indirect and socially conscious manner. However, there are some limitations in terms of scope, methodology, and consideration of broader sociolinguistic factors, and future research could further explore how other emotions, such as sadness or, let's say, joy, are expressed across different languages and cultures. So, expanding the analysis to bilingual speakers and spoken discourse could also enhance the findings, no? So I think that's it for my report about the language of anger in Chinese and English narratives by Ho 2009. So thank you for your time.